Most people don't fail because they lack knowledge. They don't fail because the world is unfair. They don't even fail because opportunities never come their way. No, the real reason is simpler, darker, and more uncomfortable to admit. Most people fail because they lack discipline. Look around. You will see this truth repeating itself everywhere. Brilliant minds, extraordinary talents, people with dreams so bright they could light up a city. And yet, all of it fades away like smoke. Why? Because when the moment came to do what was necessary, when the time arrived to act, they could not command themselves. They surrendered to comfort, to distraction, to weakness. Discipline sounds harsh. It feels cold, even oppressive. Many hear the word and imagine chains, restrictions, a loss of freedom. But the paradox is this: discipline is the only path to freedom. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who was once a slave, said it clearly. No, man is free who is not a master of himself. Think about that. You may live in luxury, you may answer to no one, but if you cannot control yourself, if laziness decides your mornings, if distraction steals your hours, if desire rules your choices, then you are not free. You are a slave, shackled not by chains of iron, but by the invisible chains of your own weakness. Imagine a young person burning with the desire to change their life. They buy the books, they write the plans, they feel unstoppable for a few days. But then, the alarm rings in the morning and they stay in bed. They whisper, "I'll start tomorrow." And tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next year. Until one day they look back and the dream is still only a dream, untouched, unrealized. Now compare that with someone ordinary, not especially gifted, not a genius, but steady, disciplined. They rise early, they keep their routines, they read, they train, they persist, day after day, month after month, year after year. They do not explode with brilliance, they do not shine overnight. But over time, their discipline builds an unshakable strength. And when others look back, they see someone who has traveled far, while everyone else stood still. Dreams without discipline are illusions. They seduce, but they never deliver. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. Without it, you can want success, you can pray for success, you can talk about success, but you will never hold it. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, reminded himself every morning, "At dawn, when you wake unwillingly, let this thought be present. I am rising to do the work of a human being." Even an emperor fought the temptation of comfort. Even a Stoic had to remind himself, life is for action, not for indulgence. So pause and ask yourself, how many times have you failed, not because you didn't know what to do, but because you didn't have the discipline to do it? How many times have you traded your future for a fleeting comfort, a movie, a nap, a night out? Be honest. The answer might unsettle you, because most failures in life don't come from outside forces. They come from within, from the lack of discipline that makes you betray your own potential. The silent enemy. Lack of discipline. Failure rarely arrives as a single catastrophe. It creeps in quietly, disguised as small choices, tiny compromises, harmless excuses. You don't wake up one day and find your life in ruins. No, failure is built brick by brick, moment by moment, through the silent absence of discipline. You skip one workout. It's just one day. You delay one task. I'll do it tomorrow. You hit snooze on the alarm. 5 more minutes won't matter. And none of these seem dangerous in isolation. But habits are not formed in grand decisions. They are formed in these tiny moments of surrender. Each time you give in, you teach yourself a lesson. That your comfort is more important than your commitment. And slowly, without noticing, you build the habit of failure. Missing one workout becomes missing weeks. Delaying one project becomes a chronic pattern. 5 minutes of snooze turns into years of wasted mornings. By the time you look up, the damage is already done. The silent enemy has won, not because it attacked with violence, but because you let it in one excuse at a time. Seneca warned us. While we waste our time hesitating and postponing, life is slipping away. This is the real danger of lacking discipline. It doesn't just waste your goals. It wastes your life. Every moment you spend indulging weakness is a moment stolen from the person you could have become. Think of all the people you know who had potential. The athlete who never trained hard enough. The student who never studied consistently. The entrepreneur who never followed through. Their downfall wasn't ignorance. It wasn't fate. It was discipline. Or rather, the lack of it. And here is the brutal truth. Talent without discipline rots. Intelligence without discipline decays. Dreams without discipline dissolve. Without discipline, every gift turns into a burden, every opportunity into regret. But with discipline, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Small, consistent actions compound into greatness. A simple habit, repeated daily, carves out a destiny. Discipline is the multiplier. It takes the little you have and makes it powerful. The lack of discipline is not just a weakness. It is treason against yourself. It is betraying the future you for the comfort of the present you. It is sacrificing long-term freedom for short-term pleasure. And nothing is more tragic than standing in your own way, denying yourself the life you were capable of living. So remember this. Failure is not loud. It does not announce itself. It whispers. It whispers every time you choose comfort over growth. Every time you delay. Every time you break a promise to yourself. The whispers may feel harmless, but they echo into eternity. The cost of weakness. Every weakness has a price. Every lack of discipline carries a debt. And the cruel truth is this: the debt always comes due. When you choose comfort today, you borrow pain from tomorrow. Skip the workout now. You borrow illness and fatigue later. Delay the project now. You borrow stress, lost opportunities, and broken trust later. Waste your mornings. You borrow years of regret that no success can ever repay. The cost of weakness is not always immediate, but it is always inevitable. And the longer you delay payment, the higher the interest grows. Think about health. People say, I'll start exercising next week, or one more meal won't hurt. But weakness compounds. One skipped workout turns into a year of neglect. One unhealthy choice turns into disease. By the time the body collapses, the cost is irreversible. Think about career. A single missed deadline, a single half-hearted effort, may seem small. But weakness repeated becomes reputation. Employers, colleagues, and partners don't remember what you intended to do. They remember whether you delivered. Weakness erodes trust, and trust once lost is nearly impossible to regain. Think about self-respect. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you lose a little faith in who you are. At first it feels minor, but over time you stop believing your own words. You tell yourself you'll change, but deep down you know you won't. That is the deepest cost of weakness, the death of self-trust. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The cost of weakness is wasted time. Time that should have been spent becoming. Time that once gone can never return. This is why weakness is more dangerous than bad luck, more destructive than injustice. Luck may block you once. Injustice may slow you down, but weakness destroys you from within every single day. It is not the world that betrays you. It is you who betrays yourself. And here lies the tragedy. Weakness feels free in the moment, but it enslaves you in the long run. Discipline feels like chains in the moment, but it sets you free for life. Freedom is not the absence of restraint. Freedom is the reward of self-mastery. Those who indulge weakness may feel light for a day, but carry the burden of regret for decades. Those who endure discipline may feel heavy for a moment, but carry the gift of achievement forever. So ask yourself, how much has weakness already cost you? How many dreams have you abandoned because you refuse to pay the price of discipline? How much time has been stolen by procrastination, by excuses, by surrender? The cost of weakness is everything you could have been, but never became. And that is a price too high to pay. Daily battles. Signs of weak discipline. Weakness does not announce itself. It does not arrive with thunder or warning. It slips quietly into your life, disguised as comfort, as excuses, as small, harmless choices. But those small choices, repeated daily, decide your destiny. The first battle is in the morning. The alarm rings. You know you should rise. But the bed whispers, 5 more minutes. 5 minutes become 30, and you begin your day defeated. That is not just lost time, it is the first loss in the war with yourself. And when you lose the first battle, the rest of the day becomes easier to surrender. The second battle is against procrastination. A task awaits you. You know it matters. Yet your mind bargains. I'll start later. There's still time. Later becomes tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. Procrastination is not laziness. It is weakness disguised as rationality. And it is the thief of your future. The third battle is in how you spend your free hours. 1 hour with a book builds wisdom. 1 hour at the gym builds strength. 1 hour of focused practice builds skill. But weakness pulls you toward endless scrolling, trivial entertainment, shallow distractions. The time is gone. The result is nothing. As Seneca said, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. The fourth battle is in promises you make to yourself. I will exercise 3 times this week. I will write every day. I will stop wasting nights. But weakness intervenes and you break your word. Each broken promise erodes the foundation of your self-respect. Slowly, you stop trusting yourself. And when self-trust dies, ambition dies with it. The fifth battle is in the small temptations. 1 more bite, 1 more drink, 1 more episode, 1 more indulgence. None of these alone will destroy you, but repeated daily, they forge chains. Chains of habit, chains of surrender, chains that feel light today, but one day you wake up and realize you are bound. And then there is the subtle battle. Excuses. The weak do not say, I failed because I was weak. They say, I was too busy. The timing wasn't right. Life is unfair. Excuses are comforting. Excuses protect pride. But excuses guarantee that tomorrow will look exactly like today. The disciplined search for a way. The weak search for a reason. The Stoics taught, observe yourself daily. Ask, where did I win against myself? Where did I lose? For the truth is, failure is rarely the result of one great disaster. Failure is the accumulation of hundreds of small surrenders, oversleeping, procrastinating, indulging, excusing. Life is not destroyed in a single blow. It is eroded by 1,000 cuts of weakness, the high price of indiscipline. Every choice has a price. Every act of weakness carries a debt. The tragedy is that indiscipline does not demand payment immediately. It lets you walk away smiling, believing you lost nothing. But the bill always arrives, later, heavier, and impossible to escape. The first price is wasted time. Time is the only currency that cannot be earned back. You can recover money, possessions, even status. But each hour of weakness is gone forever. Seneca warned, it is not that life is short, but that we make it so. Every moment spent surrendering to comfort is a moment stolen from your future self. The second price is unrealized potential. Each of us carries talents, dreams, and capacities far greater than we imagine. But without discipline, these remain seeds that never grow. The indisciplined life is not merely an unfulfilled life. It is a betrayal of what could have been. Few things are more painful than reaching the end of life and realizing you never tested your true strength. The third price is the erosion of self-respect. Every time you say, I will do it, but fail to act, you lose a piece of trust in yourself. Slowly, your inner voice changes. Instead of saying, I can, it whispers, I won't. And when you no longer believe your own promises, your identity collapses. You become a spectator of your own life. The fourth price is dependence. A person without discipline is ruled by impulses, food, comfort, pleasure, distraction. They call this freedom, but it is slavery. the worst kind because the chains are invisible. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Indiscipline turns you into a servant of every appetite, every mood, every temptation. The fifth price is regret. Regret is heavier than failure. Failure teaches. Regret poisons. Failure says, "Try again." Regret says, "It's too late." And regret grows not from what you did, but from what you never disciplined yourself to do. The book unwritten, the skill unpracticed, the body untrained, the life unlived. The sixth price is mediocrity. Success is not about brilliance. It is about persistence, about the steady accumulation of effort over years. Indiscipline ensures you never accumulate. You start, but never finish. You dream, but never build. And so you drift, always busy, never great. But perhaps the highest price is this: a life unlived. The indisciplined man is like a ship without a rudder, pushed by every wave, distracted by every current, and ultimately lost at sea. He may survive, but he never arrives. He breathes, but he never truly lives. The world does not punish indiscipline with a whip or chains. Its punishment is subtle. A dull life, small victories, shallow pleasures, quiet despair. The disciplined pay a price too: effort, sacrifice, struggle. But their reward is freedom, mastery, and meaning. The choice is simple: pay the price of discipline now, or pay the far greater price of regret later. The path to discipline. If indiscipline is the enemy, then discipline is the armor. But here is the truth: no one is born disciplined. Discipline is not a gift granted by fortune. It is a skill forged daily in the fires of struggle. Like a muscle, it grows only through resistance. The first step is awareness. You must see your life clearly. Where do you surrender? Where do you waste time? Where do you betray yourself? Most people drift through life blind to their own weaknesses, excusing them as personality, as just the way I am. But the Stoics taught, examine yourself daily. Write it down. Hold the mirror steady no matter how painful. For what you do not confront, you cannot change. The second step is small victories. Do not attempt to conquer your whole life in a day. Start with one act of discipline: a morning alarm honored, a single task completed, a distraction resisted. Small wins create momentum. Each victory whispers, "I am capable." And belief, slowly built, becomes unshakable strength. The third step is structure. Discipline thrives in order. Set clear times for rising, for work, for rest. Build rituals, not just intentions. The man who relies on willpower alone is destined to fail. But the man who builds systems, habits, routines, boundaries, creates an environment where discipline is the default, not the exception. The fourth step is resistance to temptation. Discipline is not the absence of desire. It is the refusal to be ruled by desire. You will still feel the pull of comfort, distraction, indulgence. But discipline means saying no when your body says yes, and yes when your fear says no. Each refusal is a form of training. Each act of restraint is a sharpening of the blade. The fifth step is purpose. Discipline without direction is fragile. You must know why you fight. A soldier does not endure hardship for the sake of hardship. He endures for a cause greater than himself. So ask, what is my cause? What is the life I refuse to waste? Discipline becomes unbreakable when it is tied to meaning. The sixth step is acceptance of struggle. Too many people abandon discipline because it feels hard. But difficulty is not a sign of failure, it is the path itself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Discipline means not fleeing from hardship, but leaning into it, knowing that every struggle is shaping you into something stronger. The seventh step is persistence. Discipline is not a single act, but a lifetime commitment. You will fall. You will fail. You will relapse into weakness. The undisciplined quit. The disciplined rise again. Each return strengthens the will. Each repetition forges character. Discipline is not about perfection. It is about resilience. And the final step is self-mastery. One day, discipline ceases to feel like chains. It becomes freedom. When you no longer need to force yourself, when right action flows naturally, when you live aligned with your principles, you are free. You no longer wrestle with yourself. You command yourself, and obedience to yourself is the highest form of liberty. The path to discipline is not glamorous. It is built in early mornings, in repeated efforts, in quiet refusals, in unseen struggles. But over time, these small acts create a fortress. And from that fortress you can live with power, with clarity, with peace. Discipline as true freedom. Most people fear discipline. They see it as a cage, a prison of rules, a thief of joy. But this is the great illusion. Indiscipline feels like freedom in the moment, but it is slavery in disguise. Discipline feels like restriction in the moment, but it is the only path to true freedom. Think about the body. The indisciplined man eats whatever he craves, whenever he craves. At first, this feels like liberty, but years later, he is a prisoner of illness, of weakness, of fatigue. The disciplined man refuses certain foods, follows routine, endures discomfort. At first, this feels like chains, but years later he is strong, energetic, capable, free to live fully. Think about money. The indisciplined man spends recklessly, chasing every desire. For a while he feels rich, powerful, unlimited. But debt grows, and soon he is enslaved. To bills, to loans, to worry. The disciplined man saves, invests, restrains himself. In the moment he feels limited, but later he is free, free from debt, free to choose his path, free to act on his own terms. Think about the mind. The indisciplined man indulges in every distraction, endless scrolling, constant noise, shallow entertainment. He feels free to do whatever he wants, but his attention is scattered. His will is broken and he cannot focus long enough to create or to think. The disciplined man sets boundaries. He turns off distractions. He practices focus. At first, this feels harsh, but soon his mind becomes sharp. His thoughts become clear. He is free to create, to build, to live with depth. The Stoics understood this paradox. True freedom is not the ability to indulge every desire. It is the strength to master desire. Epictetus declared, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Without discipline, you are at the mercy of appetite, impulse, emotion. With discipline, you are their commander. Discipline is not chains, it is the key. The key to health, to wisdom, to wealth, to peace. It unlocks the life that weakness keeps forever out of reach. And when you understand this, discipline no longer feels like punishment. It feels like liberation. Because you know, every refusal today is not loss, it is victory. Every act of discipline is not sacrifice, it is investment. And every hard choice is not a cage, it is a door. Freedom is not found in doing whatever you please. Freedom is found in becoming the kind of person who can trust himself, who can command himself, who can walk any path because he is not a slave to weakness. Discipline is not the opposite of freedom. Discipline is freedom. So remember this. 90%. A failure is born from lack of discipline, but 90% of success begins with it. Discipline is not about punishment. It is about becoming. It is about unlocking the best version of yourself, the one who is strong, focused, and free. If this message resonated with you, if it stirred something deep within, a voice reminding you that you are capable of more, then let this be your moment. Begin the path of discipline today, and if you want to continue walking this path with me, guided by timeless Stoic wisdom and the hard truths that sharpen the soul, then do one thing right now. Subscribe to this channel, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Join this community of seekers, of builders, of warriors of the mind. Together, we will rise above weakness, sharpen discipline, and claim the freedom that only self-mastery can give. This is not just another video. This is a call to action, a call to live with discipline, a call to live free. Living a disciplined life. Daily philosophy means little without practice. Wisdom not lived is wasted. Discipline is not an idea to admire, but a way to live, hour by hour, choice by choice. So how do we live with discipline each day? Begin with the morning. The way you start shapes the day that follows. If you wake late, already defeated, the world feels heavier. But if you rise with the alarm, you have won your first battle before the sun has risen. That small victory sets the tone for all the rest. The morning is not just a time, it is a declaration. I will command myself today. 2. Honor. One important task. Each day brings noise, demands, and distractions. But discipline means choosing one thing that truly matters and finishing it before anything else. Do this consistently, and you will find that even in chaotic weeks, you make real progress. Without this, your days blur together, busy but empty. Guard your attention. Attention is the currency of the soul. Lose it, and you lose yourself. The undisciplined scatter their attention across endless feeds, trivial conversations, shallow pleasures. The disciplined protect it like treasure. Turn off what weakens you. Turn toward what strengthens you. Where your attention goes, your life follows. Control small indulgences. It is not great temptations that destroy us, but small repeated ones. Another snack, another episode, another hour wasted. Discipline is built in the refusal of these small chains. Practice saying no, not because pleasure is evil, but because mastery is greater than comfort. Reflect each night. The Stoics ended each day by examining themselves. Ask, where did I win? Where did I fall? Where must I fight again tomorrow? This practice turns failure into teaching, victory into encouragement, and each day into a stepping stone toward mastery. Without reflection, life drifts. With reflection, life sharpens. Tie discipline to purpose. Remember always, discipline for its own sake is fragile. Discipline must serve something greater. Why do you wake early? Why do you restrain yourself? Why do you persist? Not for rules, but for freedom, for strength, for the life you refuse to waste. Every act of discipline becomes easier when tied to meaning. Living a disciplined life daily is not about perfection. You will stumble, you will fail. But failure is not the end. It is part of the training. The undisciplined surrender when they fall. The disciplined rise again, stronger each time. Each day is a battlefield. Each choice is a weapon. Discipline is the shield and sword. And when you practice it daily, it ceases to feel like war. It becomes your nature, your instinct, your freedom. Discipline and legacy. Discipline is not only about today. It is not only about productivity, health, or success in the moment. Discipline shapes something far greater, your legacy. The undisciplined life leaves little behind. It is a life of broken promises, wasted hours, forgotten potential. Years pass and there is nothing to show but regrets. The indisciplined man dies as he lived, scattered, unfinished, unfulfilled. His name fades quickly because he left no mark. But the disciplined life is different. Each act of discipline builds something that endures. A book written, a body strengthened, a family cared for, a craft mastered, a truth lived. These are not temporary victories. They are stones placed one by one into a structure that will outlast you. Consider Marcus Aurelius. He was an emperor, yes, but more than that, he was disciplined. He wrote his meditations not for fame, but as a daily exercise of discipline for his own soul. Yet today, centuries later, his words still guide millions. His discipline became his legacy. Or think of Epictetus, a man born a slave with nothing, enduring hardship most cannot imagine. Yet through relentless discipline of thought and spirit, He forged a philosophy of freedom that continues to liberate minds 2,000 years later. He owned nothing, but his disciplined soul became immortal. Your life, too, will echo. The question is, what will it say? Will it whisper of wasted time and lost chances? Or will it speak with strength? Here was a person who mastered himself. Here was a person who lived with purpose. Here was a person who left something behind. Discipline does not just create success, it creates memory. It creates respect, it creates legacy. And legacy is not about monuments or fame. It is about living in such a way that the world is better because you lived. The truth is, every choice you make today writes a line in the story of your life. Each act of discipline is ink that endures. Each act of weakness is a page torn out, empty and wasted. One day the book will close. What will it contain? If you live with discipline, your life itself becomes a teaching, a gift, a torch passed forward. Others will look at you, not for perfection but for proof that mastery is possible, that strength is possible, that freedom is possible. This is legacy. And so the path of discipline is not only for you, it is for those who will come after you, for the family that will remember you, for the students who will learn from you, for the strangers who will be touched by the work you leave behind. Discipline makes your life a light. Weakness makes it a shadow. So choose. Choose discipline. Choose the path that will outlive you. For in the end, discipline is not just the key to success or to freedom, it is the key to immortality through legacy. The final call in the end, life is simple. You are either ruled by discipline or you are ruled by weakness. One path leads to strength, freedom, and legacy. The other to regret, decay, and oblivion. Every day the choice stands before you, not in grand moments, but in the smallest of decisions. Do you rise when the alarm rings? Or do you surrender to the pillow? Do you begin the work that matters or waste the day in distraction? Do you master your appetites or do they master you? These are not trivial choices. They are the very lines that write your destiny. The Stoics knew this truth. They lived it, and now it is offered to you. Discipline is not easy. It is not comfortable, but it is the only path worth walking. Because only through discipline do you become the kind of person capable of living fully, deeply, freely. Ask yourself now, when your life is finished, when the book of your days is closed, will you look back with pride knowing you chose the harder path, the path of mastery? Or will you drown in the bitter truth that you had the strength but lacked the will? The time to decide is not tomorrow. It is now. So rise. Choose discipline. Live with intention. Master yourself, and you will master your life. And if these words struck a chord in your soul, if they reminded you of who you could become, then don't let this moment fade. Subscribe to this channel now. Not for me, for yourself. For the future you. For the life that demands more than excuses. Each week, I'll bring you Stoic truths, timeless lessons, and the hard reminders that sharpen your spirit. Together, we will forge the discipline that turns weakness into strength, distraction into focus, and life into legacy. Join this path, join this community, and let us walk the road of discipline together. Because discipline is not the end of freedom, it is the beginning.